Here's how to make journeys more interesting. Rather than just player roles versus GM roles to decide if anything happens, we're going to use a deck of cards. To do that, what happens is each player determines how they're going to contribute to contribute to the journey in this particular round. So, for instance, in this case, maybe they're all sailing a boat. Player one is going to use their might to go ahead and steer the boat. They roll their might and they get a score of 16. Therefore, they get two cards. One for getting it above 10 or above, and one more for 5 more over that. So at 15, they get 2 total. Only the highest one counts. So the 2 is taken away and the 9 is used. So that is their high card. Now, for player number 2, they've decided they're going to roll their perception and look for threats. They rolled a 19. That's the same. That's a 10 plus 5, 15. So that's 2 cards. They get a 9 and they get an ace. Ace is the one that they keep because the highest card. All right. Player number 3 also rolls perception. Unfortunately, they didn't roll very well. They didn't get at least 10, so they do not get a card by default. Now, maybe they just want to spend a legend point, so they can. If they spend a legend point, they get a 10. So this is spent to get a card. Now the GM goes, and the GM rolls a 21. That's 3 cards for 10, 15, and 20. Only the highest card counts, so the king would go on top. And this round of the journey is over. The ace wins, so therefore the player wins, because the best card is actually the best out of all of the players. So you can think of it like this. All the players have an ace, the GM has a king. So that is how the first round works. In the second round, to keep things simple, we're going to use the same roles, but each round, the starting point moves. So we started with player 1 before, now we start with player 2. They rolled a 19, so they get 2 cards. All right, so 4 is the high card. Player 3 doesn't get a card and has no more legend points, so they can't get any more. The GM rolls. Now, typically, I'm showing these face up, but the GMs are actually issued face down by default. So it actually would look like this. The reasoning being that this way, until all the players have gone, they don't know what they're competing against as far as what the GM rolled. In this case, the best card for player 1 is a 6. Best card for player 2 is a 4. So overall for the party, their best card is a 6. The GM cards are flipped over, and the GM has a queen high. So therefore the GM wins, something happens. It could be a fight, could be something breaks, but something negative occurs because the players weren't able to win that particular round. So I'm going to show you one more variation. Now in this variation of the round, because maybe it's nighttime, so it's harder to do things, and so to kind of give that night feeling, even the players don't know how well the others are contributing, so they don't get information. So everybody's cards are dealt face down. It's a third round, so we move to player number 3 in the order. They get no cards. The GM gets 1, 2, 3 cards. Player 1 gets 2 cards, and player 2 also gets 2 cards. Remember, I'm only reusing roles in this case just for ease of the video. Obviously, they would roll and choose each time how they're contributing and roll an attribute that an attribute that matters for that particular role. So therefore, once everybody's dealt out, each of the players flip over their cards. We have an ace and a jack here, so an ace is really good. Player 1 flips over and has 3 and a joker. So when a joker occurs, whoever gets it, they gain a legend point. So that adds to their pile because they got a joker. A joker also beats the ace. So the highest for the players is a joker. The GM flips it over and has 8, 9, 7. It was unlikely they were going to beat a joker. So the party wins this round. Now, if for some reason we were to take a look at the high cards between both the players and the GMs, and say, for instance, the GM also got a joker in this case, or they both got aces, or they both got tens, like that is the high card matching. Then what happens is it is a war battle. So in the order, GM would go first. Their card is a 6. Party's card is a 2. So the GM would win this war because they had matching cards, and then the next card was a higher one for them. So the GM wins this round. Something negative would happen to the party. And that's the night variation. Once you hit a joker, you go ahead and reshuffle the deck before you deal out more cards.